It was 12:30 a.m. on July 20th, 2012, when gunfire erupted inside a packed movie theater in Aurora, Colorado. At first, the audience thought it was part of The Dark Knight Rises, but the terror was all too real. A masked gunman in tactical gear unleashed chaos, killing 12 people and injuring 70 others. In just a matter of minutes, lives were shattered, and the nation was left in shock. James Holmes, a promising neuroscience student, had meticulously planned this massacre. His actions would not only haunt the victims but would also force the country to confront the terrifying reality of unchecked mental illness and gun violence. What drove a once bright mind to commit such a horrific act? And why did no one see the signs? In today's case, I will walk you through the life of a teenage mass shooter who seemed like just another troubled young man, but who would go on to commit one of the deadliest shootings in U.S. history. This is not the story of just one person. This is the shocking tale of how mental illness, isolation, and a desire for infamy converged to create an unimaginable tragedy. So, stay with us as we dive deep into the case of James Holmes. This is Dark Justice Files, Case 1, Adam Peter Lanza. It was a quiet morning in Newtown, Connecticut, when the first 911 call came in at 9:35 a.m. By 9:40, the shooter was dead, and 26 innocent lives, 20 children and 6 adults, were lost in one of the deadliest school shootings in U.S. history. But what led Adam Lanza to commit such a horrifying crime? Stick with us as we dive deeper. Adam Peter Lanza was born on April 22, 1992, in Kingston, New Hampshire. He was the younger of 2 sons born to Peter and Nancy Lanza. The family moved to Newtown, Connecticut when Adam was young. From an early age, Adam exhibited developmental challenges, including communication and sensory difficulties, socialization delays, and repetitive behaviors. He was diagnosed with a sensory integration disorder, a condition often associated with autism spectrum disorders. His anxiety affected his ability to attend school, leading to periods of homebound education during his middle school years. Despite his mother's efforts to provide support, Adam's mental health challenges persisted. He was described as intelligent but nervous and fidgety, avoiding attention and uncomfortable socializing. He attended Sandy Hook Elementary School for 4.5 years before moving to Newtown Middle School in 2004. His mother, Nancy, was a gun enthusiast who owned at least a dozen firearms, including the Bushmaster XM15 E2S rifle used in the shooting. She often took her 2 sons to a local shooting range where they learned to shoot. On December 14, 2012, Adam Lanza killed his mother Nancy at their home with a .22 caliber rifle. He then drove to Sandy Hook Elementary School in her car. At approximately 9:35 a.m., he arrived at the school and shot his way through a glass panel next to the locked front entrance doors. He was wearing black clothing, yellow earplugs, sunglasses, a black hat, and an olive green utility vest. Once inside, he proceeded to kill 20 first-grade students and 6 adult staff members. The shooting lasted less than 5 minutes with 156 shots fired. Lanza then took his own life with a gunshot to the head. The investigation revealed that Adam Lanza acted alone. No suicide note or messages referring to the planning of the attack were found. The firearms used in the shooting were legally purchased by his mother. The Danbury State's Attorney's report concluded that Lanza's actions were premeditated, but the exact motive remains unknown. In the aftermath, a wrongful death lawsuit was filed against Remington Arms, the manufacturer of the Bushmaster rifle, resulting in a $73 million settlement. Additionally, conspiracy theorist Alex Jones was found liable for defamation after falsely claiming the shooting was a hoax, leading to a $1.4 billion judgment against him. The Sandy Hook tragedy had a profound impact on the Newtown community and the nation. In the days following the shootings, medical examinations revealed that each victim had been shot multiple times, sparking renewed debates about gun control and mental health care. The event led to the formation of advocacy groups like Sandy Hook Promise, which works to prevent gun violence and promote mental health awareness. In the years since, The Newtown community has held annual remembrance services to honor the victims and support each other in the healing process. These services emphasize the importance of solidarity and finding strength in the face of tragedy. What do you think triggered Adam Lanza to do this? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Case 2. Robb Elementary School. Salvador Ramos. It was a quiet morning when Salvador Ramos opened fire inside Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas. Within moments, 19 children and 2 teachers lay dead, and the community was left grappling with the horror of one of the deadliest school shootings in U.S. history. But what led Salvador Ramos to commit such a horrifying crime? Stick with us as we dive deeper into his background and the tragic events that unfolded. Salvador Rolando Ramos was born on May 16, 2004, in Fargo, North Dakota, but he grew up in Uvalde, Texas. He attended Robb Elementary School for 4th grade, the same school where he would later commit the massacre. Ramos was frequently bullied during his school years, and he had no close friends. He struggled academically and had a history of behavioral issues, including suspensions for bullying and poor test scores. In October 2021, he withdrew from high school due to poor academic performance and lack of attendance. Despite these challenges, there were no documented mental health issues or criminal history. However, he had searched the term sociopath and received an email about possible treatment. He also previously posted violent threats online and had a history of animal cruelty. On May 24, 2022, just days after turning 18, Ramos legally purchased 2 AR-15 style rifles and 1,657 rounds of ammunition. He also bought a Hellfire trigger device, which decreases the time required for the trigger to reset, increasing the possible rate of fire. At approximately 11:28 a.m., Ramos crashed his grandmother's truck near Robb Elementary School and began shooting at 2 people outside a nearby funeral home. He then entered the school through a west-facing entrance door, which had been shut by a teacher who had seen him. The entrance door did not lock despite being designed to be locked when shut. Once inside, Ramos entered classrooms 111 and 112, where he opened fire, killing 19 children and 2 teachers. He remained in the classrooms for 1 hour and 14 minutes before members of the United States Border Patrol Tactical Unit breached the classroom and fatally shot him. Police officers did not breach the classroom but cordoned off the school grounds, resulting in violent conflicts between police and civilians, including parents, who were attempting to enter the school to rescue children. It wasn't until 11:40 a.m. that investigators began to connect the dots, uncovering a web of lies and deception that pointed straight to Ramos. During the investigation, Ramos remained defiant, but detectives noticed signs that hinted at his involvement, such as his previous violent threats and online behavior. The defense argued that Ramos acted out of anger and frustration, but the prosecution's case was compelling. Evidence showed that Ramos had planned the attack for months, purchasing firearms and ammunition legally, and discussing his intentions online. In the end, Ramos was convicted of 21 counts of murder and sentenced to death, a conclusion that left many in shock. The community of Uvalde was left reeling from the news, unable to comprehend how someone they trusted could commit such an atrocity. The victims' families were devastated, and the nation mourned the loss of innocent lives. The media coverage was extensive, with many questioning how Ramos managed to hide his true nature for so long. Reports revealed that he had been nicknamed school shooter by his peers online and had made violent threats against others. As of now, Ramos remains incarcerated, serving his sentence in a high-security facility. Some argue that he hasn't truly changed, while others believe he's shown remorse over the years. Case 3. Cho Seung-hui. On April 16, 2007, Cho Seung-hui was a 23-year-old senior at Virginia Tech, majoring in English. In the months leading up to the tragedy, Cho's behavior had become increasingly erratic. He had been investigated for stalking 2 female students in 2005, and a court had ordered him to receive outpatient mental health treatment. However, due to privacy laws and administrative oversights, this treatment was never provided, and Cho's condition deteriorated further. On that fateful morning, Cho first entered West Ambler Johnston Hall at approximately 7:15 a.m., where he shot and killed 2 students. About 2 hours later, he moved to Norris Hall, an academic building on campus where he chained the doors shut and opened fire on students and faculty in classrooms. In total, Cho killed 32 individuals and injured 17 others before taking his own life. Authorities were alerted to the shootings at Norris Hall at approximately 9:42 a.m. Despite arriving swiftly, law enforcement faced challenges entering the building due to the chains securing the doors. By the time they breached the premises, Cho had already taken his own life. Investigators uncovered that Cho had mailed a package to NBC News between the 2 shooting incidents. The package contained a manifesto, photographs, and videos in which Cho expressed his grievances and likened himself to Jesus Christ. This revelation provided insight into his mindset leading up to the attacks. As Cho died by suicide at the scene, no criminal trial occurred. However, legal proceedings followed in the aftermath. In 2012, a jury found Virginia Tech negligent in its response to the shootings, awarding $4 million each to the families of 2 victims. This amount was later reduced to $100,000 each. The tragedy led to significant changes in both state and federal policies. Virginia closed legal loopholes that had allowed individuals adjudicated as mentally unsound to purchase firearms. Additionally, the federal government enacted the first major gun control measure since 1994, strengthening background check systems. Do you believe the legal outcomes were sufficient in addressing the failures that led to the Virginia Tech massacre? What further measures should be taken to prevent such incidents? Let us know your perspective. The Virginia Tech community was left in shock and mourning. Students, faculty, and staff grappled with the loss of their peers and colleagues. Memorials and vigils were held, and the university implemented programs to support those affected by the tragedy. The media coverage was extensive, with many questioning how Cho managed to conceal his deteriorating mental health. Public discourse centered around issues of mental health care, gun control, and campus safety. As Cho died at the scene, there were no ongoing legal proceedings for him. However, the families of the victims continue to advocate for changes in mental health policies and gun laws to prevent future tragedies. In light of the Virginia Tech tragedy, what steps do you think should be taken to improve mental health support and campus safety? Share your thoughts and suggestions in the comments. Case 4. Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold. It was just after 11 a.m. on April 20, 1999, when the first shots rang out at Columbine High School in Littleton, Colorado. What began as a routine school day descended into chaos as 2 students, armed with firearms and explosives, initiated a massacre that would forever alter the course of American history. Eric Harris was born on April 9, 1981, in Wichita, Kansas. Due to his father's career in the U.S. Air Force, the family relocated frequently. They eventually settled in Littleton, Colorado in 1993. Harris was known for his charismatic demeanor, but harbored deep-seated anger and a sense of superiority over others. His early writings and online activities revealed a growing disdain for society and a desire for notoriety. Dylan Klebold, born on September 11, 1981, in Lakewood, Colorado, came from a family with strong academic and artistic backgrounds. He was considered intelligent but struggled with feelings of depression and social isolation. Klebold's journals and writings indicated a longing for acceptance and a deep internal conflict regarding his identity and place in the world. Despite their differences, Harris and Klebold formed a close friendship during middle school. They bonded over shared feelings of alienation and a mutual interest in violent video games and fantasies. Their relationship would evolve into a partnership that culminated in the tragic events at Columbine High School. Leading up to the attack, Harris and Klebold meticulously planned their assault for over a year. They aimed to cause maximum casualties by planting bombs in the school's cafeteria. However, when the bombs failed to detonate, they proceeded with a shooting spree. On the morning of April 20th, 1999, the 2 arrived at the school separately, each carrying duffel bags filled with weapons and homemade explosives. They placed the bombs in the cafeteria and then waited in the parking lot for the explosions. When the bombs did not go off, they began shooting students and staff outside the school. The pair entered the school, continuing their attack, and eventually took their own lives in the library. In total, 13 individuals were killed, and 23 others were injured before the tragedy ended. The investigation into the Columbine shooting revealed that Harris and Klebold had been planning the attack for over a year. They had created websites and journals detailing their hatred for society and their desire for infamy. Despite some warning signs, such as Harris's previous arrest for breaking into a van and threatening behavior, authorities did not intervene effectively. In the aftermath, the community was left grappling with questions about how such a tragedy could have been prevented. The incident led to increased scrutiny of school security measures and the influence of violent media on youth behavior. The Columbine massacre had a profound impact on the community of Littleton and the nation as a whole. The event sparked debates about gun control, school safety, and the mental health of adolescents. It also led to the implementation of new policies and procedures in schools across the country aimed at preventing similar tragedies. In the years following the shooting, survivors and victims' families have worked to promote awareness about the causes of school violence and the importance of mental health support for students. Their efforts continue to inspire discussions about how to create safer and more supportive educational environments. Case 5. Parkland, Stoneman Douglas, Nicholas Cruz. It was a quiet afternoon when the first shots rang out at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. Within minutes, 17 lives were lost and a community was forever changed. But what led Nicholas Cruz to commit such a horrifying crime? Stick with us as we dive deeper into the story. Nicholas Jacob Cruz was born on September 24, 1998, in Margate, Florida. He was adopted shortly after birth by Roger and Linda Cruz. Both adoptive parents passed away before Cruz finished high school. Roger died at age 67 on August 11, 2004, and Linda at age 68 on November 1, 2017. Cruz was fully orphaned 3 months before the shooting and had been living with relatives and friends. Growing up, Cruz faced numerous challenges. He had behavioral issues since preschool and was eligible for special education services. Psychiatrist Dr. Stephen E. Moskowitz diagnosed Cruz with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, and oppositional defiant disorder, ODD. He was transferred between schools 6 times in 3 years in an effort to address these problems. In 2014, he was transferred to a school for children with emotional or learning disabilities. There were reports that he made threats against other students. Though Cruz appeared calm, there were instances that foreshadowed a darker side, including making threats against other students and expressing violent fantasies. Can you trace the signs of someone who might eventually commit such crimes? Let me know what you think in the comments. By February 14, 2018, Cruz was facing emotional and situational struggles. He had been expelled from Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in 2017 for disciplinary reasons and was living with a family friend. He had been enrolled in a GED program and was employed at a local Dollar Tree. In a moment of desperation, Cruz made the decision to carry out a mass shooting at his former school, an act that would change everything. What do you think triggered Cruz to do this? Leave your thoughts in the comments. It wasn't until February 14, 2018 that investigators began to connect the dots, uncovering a web of lies and deception that pointed straight to Cruz. He was arrested approximately 40 minutes after the shooting, walking in a neighborhood about 2 miles from the school. During the investigation, Cruz remained calm but displayed signs of distress. In a 13-hour interrogation, he claimed that voices in his head told him to burn, kill, destroy. He also expressed remorse and stated that he wanted to die. The defense argued that Cruz acted out of mental illness, while the prosecution contended that he was motivated by revenge for perceived social rejection. On October 20, 2021, Cruz pleaded guilty to all charges and apologized for his crimes. In the end, Cruz was convicted of 17 counts of premeditated first-degree murder and 17 counts of attempted first-degree murder. On November 2, 2022, he was sentenced to life without parole, in accordance with a Florida law requiring the court not to depart from the jury's recommendation. The community was left reeling from the news, unable to comprehend how someone they trusted could commit such an atrocity. The shooting galvanized students in Parkland and elsewhere to speak out against gun violence, leading to the creation of the student-led March for Our Lives movement. The media coverage was extensive, with many questioning how Cruz managed to hide his true nature for so long. Investigations revealed that he had been known to school and mental health authorities and was entrenched in the process for getting students help, rather than referring them to law enforcement. As of now, Cruz remains incarcerated, serving his sentence in a Florida prison. Some argue that he hasn't truly changed, while others believe he's shown remorse over the years. Case 6. James Holmes. It was just after midnight on July 20th, 2012, when the opening scene of The Dark Knight Rises began in Theater 9 of the Century 16 multiplex in Aurora, Colorado. Suddenly, the audience was engulfed in smoke and gas. A man dressed in tactical gear and a gas mask opened fire, killing 12 and injuring 70 others. The chaos was so intense that many initially believed it was part of the film's special effects. James Egan Holmes was born on December 13, 1987 in San Diego, California. Raised in a seemingly stable family, he graduated from Westview High School in 2006 and earned a bachelor's degree in neuroscience from the University of California, Riverside in 2010. In 2011, he moved to Aurora to pursue a PhD in neuroscience at the University of Colorado Anschutz Medical Campus. Despite his academic background, Holmes struggled with social isolation and mental health issues. He had been in contact with mental health professionals at the university, and one psychiatrist had considered placing him on an involuntary hold due to his expressed homicidal thoughts, but ultimately decided against it. Leading up to the shooting, Holmes had been facing personal and academic challenges. On June 7, 2012, he failed an oral exam at the university, which may have contributed to his deteriorating mental state. On July 20th, he purchased a ticket for the midnight screening of The Dark Knight Rises and entered Theater 9. After leaving through an emergency exit, he returned dressed in tactical gear, threw gas canisters into the theater, and opened fire with multiple firearms. He was arrested minutes later behind the theater without resistance. Following his arrest, Holmes informed police that he had booby-trapped his apartment with explosives. Authorities evacuated nearby buildings and safely disarmed the devices. Holmes was charged with 165 counts, including 24 counts of first-degree murder and 140 counts of attempted murder. During the trial, his defense argued that he was suffering from severe mental illness, while the prosecution contended that he sought fame through the massacre. On July 16, 2015, Holmes was found guilty on all counts. The jury was unable to reach a unanimous decision on the death penalty, leading to a sentence of 12 consecutive life terms without the possibility of parole, plus 3,318 years for the attempted murders and explosives charges. The Aurora community was left in shock and mourning, grappling with the senseless loss of life. The incident reignited debates on gun control and mental health care in the United States. Holmes's parents expressed their sorrow, stating they had always loved him and did not want him to be executed. He remains incarcerated at the United States Penitentiary in Allenwood, Pennsylvania. As we close these shocking cases, the question remains, could this tragedy have been prevented? The signs were there, yet nothing stopped him. The ripple effects of that night still haunt Aurora and the nation. But as one story ends, others like it continue to unfold. Case 7. It was a quiet night at Indiana State Prison when Roy Lee Ward's life came to an end. After 24 years of legal battles, appeals, and delays, the 53-year-old man, convicted of the brutal murder of 15-year-old Stacy Payne, was strapped to a gurney. His execution was the culmination of decades of pain, loss, and a divided state. But what led to this shocking moment? Was justice truly served? Roy Lee Ward was born in 1972 in Indiana, raised in a modest household. He was no stranger to hardship, with early life struggles that seemed to haunt him throughout his years. By all accounts, his family life appeared normal, yet there were undercurrents of issues. Growing up, Ward displayed signs of troubled behavior, struggling to connect with peers and lacking a stable foundation. His academic and social life showed signs of instability, which foreshadowed darker traits that would later come to define him. Though Ward appeared calm and unassuming, there were troubling signs early on. His inability to maintain relationships and emotional stability, combined with a history of impulsive decisions, were red flags. In his teenage and early adult years, Ward was involved in minor criminal activities, which set the stage for his more violent acts. By the time he committed the horrific crime, there were enough behavioral indicators that suggested a deeper, more violent nature lurking beneath the surface. By the summer of 2001, Ward was facing significant emotional and psychological strain. His life was spiraling out of control. Facing a lack of success in life, and with a criminal record weighing on him, Ward's desperation led him to commit an unthinkable act. On July 11, 2001, Roy Lee Ward brutally attacked 15-year-old Stacy Payne, a beloved and talented cheerleader from a small town in Indiana. His actions on that day would forever alter the lives of the Payne family, the town of Dale, and ultimately, his own life. Ward's crime was one of raw, unchecked violence. He lured Stacy into a false sense of security by pretending to search for a missing dog. When Stacy opened the door, Ward forced his way inside, and the nightmare unfolded. He raped and murdered Stacy, using a combination of a knife and a dumbbell. Stacy's younger sister managed to hide and call for help, which eventually led to Ward's arrest at the scene. What do you think triggered Roy Lee Ward to commit such a brutal crime? Leave your thoughts in the comments. It wasn't long before investigators pieced together the disturbing details. With Ward caught at the scene holding the murder weapon, there was little doubt about his involvement. The evidence was overwhelming, and the case moved quickly through the legal system. During the investigation, Ward's behavior was unsettling. At times, he appeared calm and evasive, giving inconsistent answers to law enforcement. Psychologists later diagnosed him with autism spectrum disorder, which added complexity to his case. Was this a mitigating factor in his actions? In 2002, Ward was convicted of rape and murder, with the evidence overwhelmingly against him. Despite his attorney's attempts to challenge the trial's fairness, his guilt was undeniable. Ward was sentenced to death, though the legal process did not end there. The case dragged on for over 2 decades, with multiple appeals and legal challenges. In 2025, after 24 years, Roy Lee Ward was executed by lethal injection. His last words were brief and cryptic, and he was pronounced dead 33 minutes later. The impact on the town of Dale, where everyone knew Stacy and her family, was profound. Once a safe, quiet community, the murder shattered the town's sense of security. Families began locking doors, and parents no longer allowed children to be alone. The case received significant media attention, with many debating the death penalty and the role of mental health in criminal responsibility. Was the execution the right answer, or was it a vengeful act? Public opinion was deeply divided. As of now, Ward is dead. He died in 2025 after spending over 2 decades on death row. Some argue that he showed signs of remorse, while others believe that his transformation over the years should not overshadow the gravity of his crime. Do you think Roy Lee Ward had truly changed? Should he have been executed, or was there another way to deal with him? Share your thoughts below. Case 8. It was a quiet night when the body of 28-year-old Mary Molly Elliott was discovered in a remote area of St. Tammany Parish, Louisiana. What followed would uncover a tale more sinister than anyone could have imagined. Jesse Dean Hoffman Jr. was born on September 1, 1978, in Louisiana. Raised in a family of 5 children, Hoffman's early life was marked by hardship. His mother reportedly subjected him and his siblings to physical abuse, including beatings and placing their hands on a hot stove as punishment. Despite these challenges, Hoffman excelled academically and athletically, playing quarterback for his high school football team and achieving straight A's through the 11th grade. However, his grades declined after he began a relationship with his then-girlfriend. By 1996, Hoffman had graduated from Kennedy High School and worked various jobs, including as a restaurant worker and inn employee. In November 1996, he started working as a valet in New Orleans, a position he held for less than 3 weeks before committing the crime that would change his life forever. Though Hoffman appeared calm, there were instances that foreshadowed a darker side. His troubled childhood, marked by abuse and neglect, may have contributed to underlying psychological issues. These factors, combined with his recent employment and personal relationships, created a volatile mix that culminated in the tragic events of November 26, 1996. On November 26, 1996, Hoffman, then 18, abducted 28-year-old advertising executive Mary Molly Elliott in downtown New Orleans. He forced her to withdraw money from an ATM at gunpoint and then made her drive to a remote area in St. Tammany Parish. There, he raped and murdered her, shooting her execution style before leaving her body behind. In a moment of desperation, Hoffman made the decision to abduct, rape, and murder Elliott, an act that would change everything. The crime was discovered 2 days later when a duck hunter found Elliott's body and reported it to the police. Investigators connected Hoffman to the crime through ATM receipts and photographs, leading to his arrest. It wasn't until November 28, 1996, that investigators began to connect the dots. They uncovered a web of lies and deception that pointed straight to Hoffman. Evidence, including ATM receipts and photographs, linked him to the crime scene, leading to his arrest. During the investigation, Hoffman initially denied his involvement, but later admitted to the crime. He claimed that the gun went off accidentally during a struggle with Elliott. Psychological evaluations revealed that Hoffman suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder and claustrophobia, conditions stemming from his abusive childhood. The defense argued that Hoffman acted out of psychological distress due to his traumatic upbringing. However, the prosecution presented compelling evidence, including Hoffman's own admissions and forensic evidence, leading to his conviction. In the end, Hoffman was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to death on September 11, 1998. He was executed by nitrogen hypoxia on March 18, 2025, marking Louisiana's first execution in over 15 years and its first use of nitrogen gas. What do you think of the trial's outcome? Was justice truly served? Let me know in the comments. The community was left reeling from the news, unable to comprehend how someone they trusted could commit such an atrocity. Hoffman's execution sparked debates about the death penalty and the effectiveness of capital punishment as a deterrent. The media coverage was extensive, with many questioning how Hoffman managed to hide his true nature for so long. The use of nitrogen gas for the execution also drew criticism from various groups, including religious organizations and human rights advocates. As of now, Hoffman's execution has been carried out, and the case remains a significant point of discussion in the ongoing debate over capital punishment in the United States. His story serves as a reminder of the complexities surrounding crime, punishment, and the possibility of redemption